Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. here in Ireland, 10 p.m. in Ireland. Probably for the folks
It's Wednesday.
in the US, in Brazil, we are an hour earlier. It's because our clocks changed last Sunday, so we still have the clocks changing here. So we still have our summertime. Please accommodate this new time on your schedule. Okay, and today's topic is there a law of progress that guides humanity? And are we progressing or regressing? I love to see it. I want to see what you guys have prepared for today. I want to know if we're progressing or if we are regressing.
Hmm.
So that's it for today. So, good evening, my dear Silvia. How are you?
Good evening, Charles. Good evening, everyone listening to us. I'm very well, thank you, and always feel the joy of being here together with you and talking and about spiritism, which I love, and all these subjects that we come to discuss every week. And welcome everyone, and participate, send your questions. We always welcome, or give us your ideas as well. And I hope everyone is well and in peace. And now, as you said, the clocks have changed. We're going 1 hour forward, and you see, I see personally I'm not quite used to being so light, being still daylight, 7 o'clock in the evening, it's really funny. But, it's a change, it's the spring and things are new. So welcome everyone, and let's have a good program today. So, boa tarde, boa noite a todos que estão nos assistindo hoje. Nós vamos falar sobre um assunto bem especial e bem, inclusive, relevante para o momento que nós estamos vivendo, com muitos questionamentos que temos. E bem-vindo a todos, participem, mande perguntas e a sua opinião, e vamos ter um bom programa. Bem-vindos a todos e boa noite.
Okay, good. Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Stevan. Bonsoir, Silvia. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I'm very, very happy to be here again with you. Very happy also to try to explain you that yes, we do progress. So let's come to the arguments and the logic behind. Even in spite of the fact that sometimes when you look around us, we may doubt a little bit, but no, let's not doubt, and let's take a little bit more distance to see this ineluctable law of evolution.
Great. Okay. Let me show our video.
There are some scientists who claim that the level of violence, nonetheless, has gone down across the world, not just in, the Western countries. So oddly enough, science here seems to be, at least among some researchers, more optimistic than I am. We are heading in the direction of greater humaneness, of greater humanity. I hope that's true.
Yes, there will be less violence. And yes, there is less violence today as opposed to it was 10,000 years ago, where violence was the norm. Okay, so now it is much more diplomacy is the norm. so we get along together. So in the future, it is still going to be even much better, where hopefully in the future there is no more war.
If we look to our past too, I think we can say, even if sometimes we're very negative about nowadays, but life's a lot better than it was 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. We're all the beings in this planet will be fundamentally happy. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's probably going to take a big chunk of time, but it will happen. Again, we go back to the idea of God being just and kind and always give us a chance to evolve and grow. So everything is growing and evolving. And it's only a matter of time.
I do have a hope that human beings continue to grow and change and evolve. And the violence that's happening and even the religious motivated violence that's happening now, the world is more peaceful today than it has been in ever. At different levels, at different times, different places, but that as an entirety, the human race is evolving overall, over time.
Okay. Um, I, I like this video because I wanted to show that this is not a view of just the spiritism view. We had a lot of people from different religions, different faith, telling about the future, telling about the progress. And Charles, on your introduction, you already said we are progressing. So would you like to better explain these
Yes,
statements?
the law of progress is a natural law, isn't it? Everything progresses. Okay. In particular, the souls and the spirits. It has been clearly said in the video. Statistics are showing that the world is much less violent today. Would you, for instance, be ready to go hiking in a forest in the Middle Age? Probably not. It would have been very dangerous. Today, it's more common practice. Another example I have in mind, at the time of Kardec, means mid of the 19th century in Paris, almost half of the children did not pass 2 years of life. So the mortality of children was 50%. How it is today? It's 5%, maybe. Much, much, much less. So everywhere we can see this progress, but more particularly, this progress can be seen in on the technology side, okay? Because the Spiritist body of knowledge is basically teaching where do we come from. We have all been created simple and without science, but with the potential of progress, which is infinite, endless. And so Kardec made a classification of the spirits according to their degree of elevation, coming from the very rough spirits or with a lot of imperfection as they have been created, up to the top, which are the pure spirits, the very high evolved spirits. And of course, there are all the intermediary steps. And we know Spiritist body of knowledge teaches us also that the progress is done by the law of reincarnation. Okay, we are progressing within one single life, that's sure, but we cannot come from a primitive spirit up to a pure spirits in one life. It needs a lot of life. But we can see, even if you look, I look myself. When I was young, I was doing a lot of things, and then I started to think about. I discovered also the Spiritist body of knowledge, and I made some reasoning. And saying there are some things which may be not so good for me at all. And due to this reasoning, of course, it motivates to make some efforts to become a little bit better, even if it's a little bit, little by little. And this is exactly what happens. There are a lot of things that I was doing when I was young and immature, I would say, that I don't do today anymore. Far from being perfect, of course. We don't evolve also like just in a flash or a couple of seconds. It requires a lot of efforts. Okay, and the progress is also remarkable on two aspects: intellectual progress, which encompasses knowledge, technology, and so on. So there has been a huge progress since the Middle Age and until today. Today, you see, we are at the everywhere around the world, live, connected, and talking together. Yeah? This, you would have said it to me even 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, you are dreaming. This is fiction, but now it's reality. So we can see this huge technological progress that has that we have even only in the last years. Imagine since Kardec. Kardec, there was no cars yet. It was all driven by horses or by trains. And look the situation today. Much different. And the Spiritist body of knowledge is also saying it's maybe a little bit too much. We progressed a lot in technology, in health, in science, in sociology, in psychology, in medicine, in a lot of very good things. In, for instance, constructing buildings which are withstanding to earthquake, to take only the news from today, so a lot of progress. Nevertheless, the impression we have is still could be better, isn't it? And why do we have this impression? Because yet there is a progress to be done, which is not on the technology and on the intelligence. It's also on the morality and the goodness. So as I explained at the beginning, talking a little bit about me that I don't like so much, but when you start thinking, where is my real interest? Okay, you think from a materialistic point of view. I have only one life. After this life, everything is finished. So I will really make the best use of my life, and I don't care about the others. So this is typically the materialistic way of thinking, where it's stimulating pride and also selfishness. When you see it from a spiritualistic point of view, saying I am in this life, but the soul does not die. So when I die, my body and all what is material stays here, and I will go with my soul. And with what? Not with the money, not with a car, not with the social position. Nothing of that we take. We only take with us what we learned, and also the virtues, the goodness we have, and our conscience. Conscience can be good or less good. And the situation of the spirit is narrowly depending on all of this. So why do we concentrate all our efforts to what is temporary and neglect what is immortal? So the fact to have this knowledge is pushing also the motivation and the effort to become also better. Growth of IQ, isn't it, Stevan, is good, but we need also EQ, and above all, nowadays, we need also SQ, spiritual quotient. And that is what it is about progress. And in one question of the Spirit's book, Kardec is asking, why does intelligence or intellectual progress go quicker than the moral progress? And he's telling, it goes quicker, but at the end, when we, with our intelligence, understand better where our real interests are, means in the eternal goods and not on the temporary goods, then this understanding is helping us to push also the moral progress forward. Because, I mean, 20th century has been terrible. Two huge wars, Holocaust, and so on, at a point that the people were saying cannot be. If God would exist, he would not let such things to be done. Whilst the war has been done by humans, not by God. It's just the bad use of our free will that made the war. But then some philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre in France, and but many others, came with this negative philosophy. No, mankind is only driven by instincts, by pleasures and such things, and it is not fundamentally good or whatever, at a point that the humanist philosophy almost disappeared. But Spiritist body of knowledge did not disappear because, again, this vision is narrow. We have really to have a bigger lateral view, a bigger vision in order to understand better our full dimensions of human being, which is not only material, but also spiritual. So yes, indeed, we are progressing, and we will, as Dan Assisi told it in the video, progress a lot more. It may take a chunk. I think it told something like that. It may take a while, but it will come. And what we see today is there are some terrible wars in Russia against Ukraine, Israel against Palestine. This is what Jesus called scandals. And Jesus told scandals need to happen. Why? Because it's awakening our conscience in order to say, okay, no, it's enough. Stop. Let's stop with these things. As it happened somehow after WW2, where, for instance, between France and Germany, we told, okay, now it's enough. We don't want these things anymore. And you see now, 70 years later, France and Germany are very, very close together. So the necessary has been made after this scandal, as Jesus called it, of WW2, in order to take all the measures to prevent it happening again. Even so, there are some people with have nostalgia about that, but okay, patience. The majority of the people has understood it and doesn't want these things anymore. So yes, indeed, we progress.
I trust and I believe you, my friend. My dear Silvia, since we are progressing, does it change the way I see the world, my habits, my life, the way to see life, my way to run my life? Once we know we are progressing, we will be better in, I don't know, perhaps in 100 years, 200 years, but we'll be better. And knowing we have the reincarnation, because if we die today and we return in 100 and 200 years, we're expecting to see a better world. So this change our way I should see my present life.
I didn't quite understand the question. Sorry. You're saying if we die today and reincarnate in 200 years' time, we'll think different. Is that what you mean?
No, I'm saying since we have the law of progress and we are progressing,
Yes.
how I should see my life as of today, taking consideration we will reincarnate again, and we expecting to reach a better world, not the world as of today.
Well, I think the world that we're going to find is the world we're actually creating now. Each and every one of us. I think Charles, explained really well about the progress and everything. And is incessant. The progress is incessant. It's a force. Say, progress is a living force that we all, we progress. The earth progresses, and we progress with it. Um, so we are going to come to a different world from what we live now. But I think very much will depend how we ourselves are creating this world, because spiritism teaches us that we are the architects of our future. So if we want to come back to a world that's full of love and understanding, in which everyone has an opportunity of good life, we have to start creating it now. Because if we are not participating in this work of progress, of unity, then we will not reincarnate in the world and others are doing it. We will not be reincarnated in that world, because we wouldn't be able to cope with the changes and the differences that exist. And I think this is a very important point, because sometimes you think, oh, as an individual person, I'm just a very simple person. I cannot do very much. I cannot change the way people think. And we tend sometimes to see ourselves very small and very relevant. And to a certain extent, sometimes we are, but I think we also have to understand ourselves as a child of God, inheritors of the universe, and we are going to, if we understand that we are going to live in the future, in the world that we are creating now, in whatever job we're doing, I find that if someone, a teacher, I think is one of the most important people on the planet, I think, are teachers, because they can make your life a completely different thing. I can't imagine any single person who cannot remember at least one teacher they had, either a good one or a bad one. But they marked our lives in such a way. But also, and there are so many things that we learn. And oh, yes, I cannot be a very big politician, or I didn't, have the opportunity to, or whatever. But we needed to do the very best where we are, because this world is progressing. We are progressing. We have to be part of the progress. We have to be part of the change. And we have to be really there with the changing we are creating. So for someone, say, who works sweeping the street, most people pass by them. They don't even look at them. But that person is having such an incredible function to keep the streets clean so you can walk safely. And it's interesting that there are kind of jobs that people do in their lives that most people, most of us, and I'm not excluding myself, don't even stop to think about it. Every now and then you have this program on the telly about someone doing this work, and then I say, oh my God, I could not in my million years do this kind of job. But someone does it. And we don't think about the people who collect the rubbish or anything like that. We just go and it's empty and it's fine. But I remember a few years, well, quite a long time ago, here in England, when there was a strike, in London, the dustmen went on a strike. And it was a nightmare because none of the rubbish was collected. And it was horrible to walk in the streets, and it was all dirty and smelly and terrible. And I think, during the weeks, a couple of weeks, or I can't remember exactly how long it took, but it took long enough for us to realize what a wonderful job there are some people who do in cleaning up the rubbish from our homes and from the streets. And if you're doing that job, with I'm doing the best I can, it makes a big difference, and you cannot appreciate sometimes this kind of things, and it's important for us to do, because if we are the ones doing it, we have to do it the best way we can, because we are participating of this progress. A man who, is an engineer, he studied very hard. I mean, I find engineers incredible people, because I wish I had the brains to be one. And they do such incredible things. They build roads, they build homes, they build incredible buildings and bridges and all sorts of things. And they, study really hard to achieve that. And they are creating something. But then, even if you're building, like the Shard, for instance, it's a beautiful building in London, incredible architecture, but they needed the most simple people to build the foundation, brick by brick, to create that. So everyone is important. And I think that's what we need to see this, to see the progress that we are all part of. It doesn't matter if you are building the foundation, if you are doing the design, if you are, operating someone, but every part of it, even a doctor, the most important doctor who does incredible operations, but if he didn't have the nurses there helping him, and if they didn't have, people cleaning the surgical room and the instruments, they need everyone so he can achieve what he's achieving. And that's being part of the progress. So the world that we are going to live on is the world that we are creating now. And if we do our very best to be able to get there, and if we don't, we just wouldn't be able spiritually to live in a world that has progressed, because we were left behind. So we will go to a world in which our level can cope with it. So I'm sorry, I think I gave a very long answer, but I feel basically that's the thing. We are going to live in a world, good or bad, that we are creating now. I don't know what Charles think about that, or you,
Yeah,
Stephen.
absolutely. I mean, so that's exactly this intellectual progress, which goes always a little bit quicker, but with the right understanding, it pushes also the moral or ethical or goodness development. And if we take one example of today, the global warming, so at the beginning, no, nobody wanted to listen, nobody wanted to see. Now it's, I would say, more or less admitted. There are still some people which are refractory to it, but the majority is admitting it. Now, so what? What are we waiting for? Because as you exactly told, Steven and Silvia, who will, our children will have this heated world, but the children or the grandchildren of our children will be us reincarnating. So you see, the fact to know that we will reincarnate on this earth is also another understanding that motivates us to say, okay, let's now cut all what is superfluous, take only the necessary one, and even the necessary one, make it as sustainable as possible. This is also a huge progress that happened at this
Oh,
last
yeah.
time. See the pandemics. The pandemics was a trial. Wow, we couldn't do out, people dying and whatsoever. But we managed to we are still here. Of course, some of our beloved one or people we knew passed away through the COVID. That's clear. But we are still here. Prevention measures, also vaccine and whatever has been developed. So all these trials, all these difficulties are stimulating the progress. And you remember, Steven, one of the characteristics of the spiritual intelligence is positive reaction against adversity, to see opportunities in the difficulties. And these are all clear signs that now the progress is really taking a very strong shape.
Yeah, Charles. Spiritual intelligence. We need to make conscious of what's going on, because like if you turn on the TV today, I don't know, probably 11 out of 10 shows in the TV or the news, it's related to bad things. If we read the newspapers, for those who read newspapers, the top ad in the journal, it is a bad thing in terms. The guy is still dead. This mom and I. So it's a lot of negative things, and I believe this is my personal belief. When we unite all these, we will have a kind of lower vibration, because I'm seeing bad things on TV, on newspaper, on the media. You see there, someone see in UK, Silvia see in UK. This will generate a lower vibration, and this lower vibration kind of block us to see the progress. And the times of the World War II, we have some protests, of course, but now we have the Ukraine Palestinian war. A lot of people is against it, but what they are doing in order to stop it? And as you said, Charles, um, if we take the progress, if we take medicine from during the World War II, progress a lot. I know they used the the most wrong way to do the tests, the exams, and all this. But today's medicine is based on the research done in the World War II. Another bad example is like the nuclear weapon was developed during the World War II. Now we have submarines. Now we have things moving by nuclear force. So progress, it's happening, but I would say our mentality is not there, because every day we are being pushed backwards by thoughts, by someone else, instead of giving us, okay, let's go further. Let's see the next. What do you think, dear Silvia? Silvia?
Sorry, Steven, my internet just went down and I didn't hear anything you said about the question. Sorry. Every
No,
now and then
just
it goes down.
what's your thoughts? What's your comments? Did you listen what I said?
I didn't hear everything. I said for some reason it just went down and I couldn't. Everything went black and I didn't hear anything that you said. Sorry.
Sylvia can just introduce and then you complement Sylvia. It's,
Yeah.
of course, all the progress. You talked about the atomic energy. So it was used to make a bomb. we have seen the dramatic effect of the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There are still some bombs, unfortunately, but there is also nuclear energy used for the good to make electricity uh, and by the way, it's low carbon today. So this is we see always when there is some for internet. We have seen we have now YouTube. We have all these tools to disseminate talks and so on. What are we doing? We are trying to making our best to use these tools for disseminating good things. But a lot of people are disseminating bad things. And when you talk about the media are somehow focusing on, there is less and less bad things happening, but they are more and more focusing on these few bad things that are happening. And this will take as long as when this happens, what do I do? Turn the TV off. And they will see it sooner or later. There is no audience anymore. And they will automatically adapt and change to make some more positive news. So it is all about us. How do we react against in front of this good news or bad news of the technology? And if we want to change the world, we have to change ourselves. If we want the world to progress, the quickest way is to work on our own progress and the example we are giving.
Yeah.
I suppose as well, a lot of things in thinking about some discoveries, especially the technology that we have now, and especially in the last 20, 30 years, we have seen an intellectual progress and progress of science and technology to an amount that we wouldn't dream. I was just thinking the other day, there was a film on the telly, which was cutting edge at the time, and this man was on the phone, and the phone was huge, and he was talking in a park or whatever. They were walking, and he was using the phone. He had a mobile phone and was huge. He almost had need two hands to hold the whole, it was like a brick. And now, we have a technology in our phones now, greater and even more extensive than we had in the capsules that sent man in the moon, So you have all this development as well. And technology is good, is important, and is part of progress. And I think this part of the natural laws that God wants us to progress and everything. And I think it goes back to our free will. How do we use this knowledge? How we use this technology? I think an example that occurs to me, it's about those drones, in many ways, sometimes you see pictures of places, of mountains, or so beautiful that they are able now to take with drones. You can see the cities, but and then at the same time they use drones for such a horrible military ways and to do such a horrible things. So I think the question, I think Charles mentioned it before, the question of the moral progress having to be, of course, intellectually, technologically, we seems to progress much faster, and the moral progress goes a lot slower than that. And I think we will really have a peaceful world, a world of understanding or true love, like when Jesus said, love one another as I loved you, is when we will have the technology, the intellectual development, and the moral together, united, both roads into one. And you can then have a better world, because there is so much a divergence, and we tend to to use the knowledge that we have. Usually, I think you mentioned it something, Stevan, when you talked about that a lot of the progress of technology that we have now is started during the war. And when mankind are in this conflict, they developed so many things, radars and God knows what more, that came out of the need to create things for survival, radar and everything. And then we use the technology, we use this, but not progress, so we can use badly, we make bad choices. And I think that's the problem. Technology, development, intellectual development is not a problem. It's the use that we make of technology. And I think, Charles and you as well mentioned the thing about the atom, the spirit of the atom. And what did we do? Instead of creating a better way of having cleaner energy, so we don't depend so much on fossil fuels and everything that creates a lot of the carbon and everything that we have. We build a bomb, that can incinerate in one instant, can actually kill 300,000 people. And I think that's why mankind is not yet prepared to really achieve this. But on the other hand, whenever you have this horrible conflicts and a lot of destruction, we learn from it because people don't want to go back again. And I think Charles mentioned as well the question of Germany and France. And it was not only during the First, Second World War, the France and Germany were at each other's throats, but for a very, very long time, if we study the history, the Middle Ages, and there were many, many wars between France and Germany and England and other countries. They were constantly fighting for religion and this and that. But now, we live in a coexistence because people got tired to suffer the consequences of wars. And I think now we are living through terrible situations. You said something about regressing, and sometimes when you look around the news, things are happening on the planet and the news. And now, with social media, that you are exposed, and everybody actually can put whatever they want out there in the world. Before, quite a lot of those ideas, all these things were very much maybe the person and a few friends that they knew. But now it's out in the world, everybody knows. And you see this terrible wars and destruction for no reason. Doesn't seem to have any reason for this to happen, but it's happening. And we think, oh, the world's going back, but we know it's not. It's not. And even these terrible things that are happening now will make people stop to think, I don't want this anymore. I can't cope. And I remember some years ago when the situation in Ireland, with the bombs, and was terrible. We used to have a lot of bombs here in the streets and the tubes, and I remember once being in Piccadilly Circus, and I saw this plastic bag and my whole body froze. And I thought, oh my God, somebody left a bomb. And I just walked really fast to the other side. But, we don't have this anymore. And I remember the housewives and the mothers between the two sides in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, it started coming together, saying, we don't want this anymore. We don't want to lose our husband and our sons to this stupid, terrible war. And they created a movement together, both sides of the divide created something. And now we have peace, literally. I mean, maybe it's not as perfect as it could be, but comparing to what was and how would it spread out, we don't have it anymore. And I think it always has to come to the point that someone will stand up, said, we don't want this anymore, and unite with others who think the same. And you start a movement, start small, but it grows, because really to live, to be able to have, peace is better. And I think a lot of this development as well, as you said, Stevan, came out after the war, because the countries were at peace with each other. Well, We always have those Vietnam, Korea, North Korea, and Cambodia, we've constantly, and with all those wars in Africa, there is always some conflict, or because human beings, they don't seem to be able to live with each other unless they're killing one another for every now and then. But majority of the world is living in peace, because in this period that was really tiring, and because we can't imagine how appalling the destruction of this planet in 6 years of the world, the Second World War. The destruction was terrible, was unimaginable. And you ended up with the atom bomb, which transformed the life of this planet completely. It changed. We were not the kind of that innocence that we had before. We don't have anymore, because the fear that our whole planet can blow up in one go is very much present in our lives. So we changed that. But so progress has to go, and we needed to learn how to use all these inventions, all this technology for the benefit of everyone, to be able to live in peace. So, but once we get tired of wars, we have peace. So, hopefully it'll be soon, because our planet is transforming as well, isn't it? We are living through the greatest transformation this planet has ever been through. Is undeniable. And of course, there is a lot of conflicts, a lot of convulsions. We have earthquakes and all sorts of things going on, because we are now, as we know, beginning to get into the world of regeneration. But before it happens, there is a lot of cleaning to happen as well. So, as the spirits teach us. Very well.
Yes, yes.
I'm
And
glad I didn't hear everything.
now we heard you 100%. No breaks. Yeah, I completely agree. And uh, the good thing, the good thing is we always aim for a good progress, something happy, something united, something without borders. So we always think something good. And I think this move us the same way we have in my previous statement the negative. This is the positive side. We always wish something good, and this is one thing we need to consider before we say, okay, I want to reincarnate. Okay, in which world you want to reincarnate? Oh, in this world. So start to plan the trees now. Otherwise, we don't know which air you're gonna breathe. Before we start now, Charlie saying in his hometown is raining for 6 months in a row. London is very cold. Here in Ireland is very cold. It used to be sunny now. We are in spring now. Or not yet. No, I don't think it's April 22nd
Yes,
of
yes,
April.
well, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
Since
Equinox has passed now for
21st
two weeks,
of
actually.
March.
yeah. So we're supposed to have sunny days, bright days. We are not getting it. So what kind of word we will get it? If you want a better word, we need to start to act right now. How? Educating your children, educate yourself, be an example, If you don't want to go to the spiritist teachings, go to spiritist conscious. Same thing. It it's same thing. But the action must happen today. Okay, let me see here. Will, it is with us. Luviem, it is with us. Thank you for watching us. Okay. Do you guys have any final comments?
Yes, I think just summarizing, we still see a lot of bad things, and we see them more and more because of this focus of the media on them, as I explained. But globally, as it has been very clearly said at the beginning by people from various different beliefs, we are evolving, we are progressing. And what I like in Spiritist body of knowledge is that the only purpose of Spiritist body of knowledge is to incentivize our efforts for our own progress. And this is absolutely fundamental because the spirits tell us the world is progressing. It doesn't, maybe sometimes we can have a bad vision. Yeah, it's not progressing because we are polluting, we are destructing, there are wars and whatever. But the conscience are progressing. The people are more and more sad of these things. You see, we still, too many of us are still being influenced by people, political leaders, who are somehow uh, seeking our bad, our defects that we still have, like selfishness, like a little bit of pride, and manipulating us with this. And at the end, or even they are making us afraid of something, so that we get to an extreme position. Do we go to this or not? Do we vote for such people or not? That's a key attitude. We are in democratic countries. We can vote. We have to think about voting. What do we want in our in the future of the? Do we want it now or do we want it only in the next life? So, as Silvia told, we have to act now without waiting, because the progress is coming, with or without us. If we do not progress, sometimes we will step out, we will be kicked out somehow, because we cannot be in a world which is above our level of evolution. And what can happen with us is maybe we can go back and reincarnate in some other planet which is in the prehistoric or middle age period, in order to help them to go out of that and to reach the level we have today. No, let's do the effort now so that we can go with this movement of global evolution of our planet, and stay in this world, which will not be a lot of comfort and material facilities and whatever, because we pushed too much. I heard that there are 8 billion humans on the earth, and there's more 8.5 billion smartphones on the earth. It's absolutely incredible. Why do we need all this? So we need to come back to some more sustainable consumption behaviors. Let's take away all what is superfluous. Let's stay polluting by with clothes, with changing unnecessary things. Let's go back to the basics, and this will make us happy. Because to be happy, we are, if we want always more than what we have, we will never be happy. If we are happy with the little we have, but we are happy. You see, the happiness does not depend on how much you have. It depends on how you react compared with what you have. And if you see it positively, but you are as happy as it is possible on this planet.
And I think that what you're saying, Charles, is very interesting because in question 785 of the Spirit's book, when Kardec asks the Spirit, what's the obstacles, what's the obstacle for progress? And pride and selfishness. The Spirit's answer, pride and selfishness is the only obstacle for progress.
To be
So
the
we ourselves have to be the ones who make the change, because the planet is changing anyway. Everything's moving and progressing, and we are also changing. So if we learn the laws of nature and to learn to respect one another, not talk about love or anything, but at least respect one another, we could have done so much more. And that I think you mentioned about COVID. It just was a terrible thing that we all went through, but also what could be achieved in 10 months when everybody came, put their heads together, to find a vaccine, to find something that would help. And, when people come together and put their ideas together for the benefit of all, for the greater good, things change and is transformed. So, our planet will, as you said, is progressing with or without us. And if we are left behind, we're left behind. And it'll be harder than to catch up than it is now, isn't
yeah.
it?
Mm. And that's in order to finish. Let me finish with a comment from Kardec on question 759 of the Spirit's book. There is more dignity and true honor in recognizing our wrongdoing if we are wrong, or in forgiving the opponent if we are right, and in all cases, in not paying heed to insults that cannot affect us. That's a good way to start. Okay, so let me show our announcements here. One second. Okay. Okay. So our next episode on the 10th of April will be what happens after we die. So tricky question. Our Spiritism Acts 2024 is confirmed. The enrollment is open. It will happen in Oxford from 29 to 30 of June. It's 2 days. So please contact kardec.org.uk for more information to acquire your tickets. The series of Camille Flammarion is taken away. Last Sunday, Vanessa Anceloni gave us a wonderful explanation about Camille Flammarion. And don't miss this every first week, first Sunday of the week, of the month. The Spiritism Magazine, it's on the way. And please keep reading, listen, Kardec Radio. Support us throughout the world. This is it, my friends. I want to say thank you all for your time. Thank you for your patience. We'll be here next week. Enjoy the rest of your night or beginning of your day. See you soon. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you all. All
Thank you.
the
God
best.
bless everyone. See you next week.